The video is Leila Nishmas Shmuel Bach and Chaim Tzvi Doiv. Someone asked me to give a little bit of guidance on koshering and when it comes to all the different preparations for Pesach. So if you have a Rav, please follow the Rav. If you don't, you could rely on the following, B'siyata Dishmaya. I don't claim to be the biggest expert on this subject. I'm going to try to give a perspective that I understand. A lot of it is based actually on the CRC and the Starkei and Metzias and my humble understanding of halacha. Why is this so important? Because when we speak about dveikus, as we've been trying to develop and we're getting close to Pesach Zman Cheruseinu, it's important to be able to differentiate between what's a chumrah and what's not a chumrah. Where do chumras even begin? What's the idea behind chumras? I think it's quite simple. Chumras is when a person wants to come closer to the Rabbeinu Shalom and is so concerned because from a healthy point of view. What I mean to say is, if a person's OCD, if a person is going to be filled with anxiety, if a person is coming into Pesach mamash like a rag, if a woman doesn't have any time to even think about Pesach and the concept of Pesach, I don't think that is really the goal of Chumas. Chumas then could be actually detracting and really a negative effect. Chumas have to come because I'm so, just like you remember the first date you had, and he was so concerned about what you're going to say and what you're going to do. That's a little bit of a mashal of what it means to have chumras. I love the Rebbeinu Shalom. I'm so in love with that. I want to be so careful. That's where it should come from. And therefore, the reason why I'm discussing this is because many times it's not the case. And it's important to be healthy and be able to understand what is halach and what is not. A person, for example, has no obligation to do spring cleaning when it comes to Pesach. It's actually, I would suggest, do spring cleaning in the spring, but later in the spring, or even in the summer when there's more time. Pesach should only be a time where you're looking for real chametz. So when it comes to cleaning the house, any room that doesn't have, usually chametz is brought into the house, into that room, there's no obligation at all to check, and there's no obligation to clean it up and check all the drawers, turn over all the drawers. In fact, when it comes to if someone has kids, it's a little bit different because kids could bring things everywhere. It's kind of like what the Gemara says about the weasel, the chulda, that goes from one room to the next. Now, when it comes to koshering is quite an experience, and perhaps one of the first and most important things is to remember that danger is the most important factor that you should calculate. So, for example, when it comes to using any fire, one should be careful and should always, even when it comes to self-cleaning, one should not leave the oven unattended. Self-clean ovens are dangerous, and sometimes, especially if they're filled with grease. Therefore, when it comes to koshering, anything that you're koshering, the first thing actually is to clean it well. If you clean it well with fantastic or some type of detergent or whatever cleaning element, easy off, etc., halachically, it's also much better. And then it's already almost a chumrah to clean it. So let's speak about ovens. Ovens, you have a self-clean oven, that's the easiest. It cleans everything and it makes everything into ashes. It's totally good. It goes almost to 900 degrees. It's fine. If a person has a regular oven, put it on for 40 minutes on the highest, and it's also good. But best to clean well before. Even when it comes to self-clean ovens, you should try to get the door area where it doesn't always heat up and there's a lot of grease. Key is try to clean that well. What about the grates on top, the stove tops? When it comes to grates on top, one should put pots on top. This way it spreads the fire for about 15 minutes. If you would cover all the different grates, the stovetops on top, you should be good. But again, I suggest highly that you should clean it well before. That would make things much better. Me'ikar adin, each time that you use it, you're actually koshering it. And you never put food on it, so that's why it makes it much easier. When it comes to other types of stove tops, like glassware, glass tops, and everything else, one should clean well, put it on for 15 to 20 minutes, and one could use it. When it comes to countertops, this perhaps is my favorite. Many times a person is worried that they're not cleaning it well. Me'ikar adin, a person has to know that there is no real chiyuv. Why is that? Because we don't put food on our countertops. We put pots at best, and once in a while we might spill onto the countertops. Nevertheless, the minhag is to kosher it with what's called irui. Irui is done, and this is perhaps the easiest way, is to get those kumkums, the Israeli kumkums. Instead of heating up a pot of water, which could be quite dangerous when one is doing that, because pouring it and trying it in the right spot could be dangerous, one uses what's called an Israeli kumkum, I don't know what's called in English, and you are able to maneuver much easier. I would tell you that the easiest is just to cover it. If you cover it, you're good to go. What about the sink? Sinks also make a din. I would say is not a chiyuv, but nevertheless, the minhag is to use hot water and pour it in all the spots and do the best you can. and you're good to go. Most of the countertops could be kosher because of the fact that it's a chumrah, and B, because for mica and plastic and the different types of the new granites also could be kosher. I hope this was helpful, and it should only bring you closer to Hashem. Perhaps the best way when you're cleaning is to remember that the ikar cleaning is inside of us, which we'll discuss more and more as we get closer.